Welcome, Stephen Michaels.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm excited to talk to you. And I have to start off right away because recently, in the last couple of years, you retired 29 years of service with the United States Navy Reserve. Thank you for your service.
Oh, thanks. It's my duty. Greatest country in the world.
A bit more about Steve Michaels. He has a 35-year career in communications and defense industries as master's degree electrical engineer, a professional engineer license, project management professional and certified Lean Six Sigma master black belt, defense acquisition professional engineer level 3, a 29-year retired U.S. Navy Reserve '06, that means captain, and veteran of Operation Enduring Freedom, Afghanistan, and a 47-year semi-professional keyboardist, guitarist, and singer.
Even with the background in the Navy, 29 years, and now going on a 35-year career as an engineer since I graduated college, I would argue to my death that my real calling has always been music. The reason music never became a career was simply because when I was in high school and trying to figure out my way in life, we didn't have enough money to send me to college, and there was really no plan to go to college. So there was nothing, not that it couldn't have happened, but I'm from the south side of Chicago, and it was a pretty blue collar neighborhood surrounded by three steel mills, which all closed right around the time I graduated high school, which changed a lot of things for a lot of people. And there was really no plan for me to go to college, and maybe I could have if somebody had guided me, gone and gotten a music degree and became a music teacher or something. But I didn't see a path. I didn't see a way to make money to survive, to eventually get my own apartment, not live with my parents, and eventually have a family. There was just nothing I could visualize. Everybody I knew um, in Chicago and the suburbs where I interacted with other musicians, I played in bands. Nobody I knew from that whole network was, well off, was doing well enough with music to be able to afford a house or a car or anything. It was pretty clear to me that I needed to get a substantive job somewhere and use that to be able to fund and fuel my passion for music, which it turns out that's how most of us in the music industry are. The ones that are on television or on social media that are selling platinum albums or whatever are so few and far between. There's hundreds of thousands of us musicians out there playing in local bars and private events and festivals and things. And I always say, don't forget to support your local live music scene, because that's where all the musicians are who just want to play, but they can't afford to quit their day jobs. So we work our tails off on a day job, and then we hurry up and pack up a car and drive a few hours, throw all the equipment on a stage, try to set it up, and then play for 3 hours, and then pack up the car and turn around and go all the way back home late in the morning. And we'll do that for 50 years, and I'm still giddy about the fact that I'm going to be playing again this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. The band I'm in now is an Eagles cover band. I just started with that one 6 months ago, but I've been in many different types of bands over the years: country, rock, wedding bands, you name it, acoustic acts. It's a passion, that's for sure. know, and I play keyboards and guitar, and I sing a lot. I used to sing a lot of lead in one band I was in, but now I'm mostly a harmony singer, backup guy. But it's a lot of fun.
Is that why you do it because it's fun, or you get to learn new things, or to challenge, or is all of that?
I would say all the above. During that whole process of 50 years, you can't help but learn, not just about music, but in the early days, especially back in the 1980s when I was starting out, boy, I was thirsty for knowledge about, hey, sound guy, what's that thing you're putting together? Hey, why did you wire this over here? And why is that speaker sitting that way instead of this way? And why are the microphones so far apart? And what happens if I move this one over here? And what does this box do that's all lit up with all these flashy lights? What does this slider do? I learned a lot, and I was pretty good. By the end of the 80s, I actually wasn't just a musician. I could run sound for people when the sound guy wasn't there. And that's back in the analog days. And of course, I lost that talent over the years because then I went to college and I joined the Navy, got sidetracked. But I missed the whole revolution today sound men are doing everything digitally and by computer. I look at the stuff they're using now when I'm playing out and I go, I couldn't even turn this thing on. I don't know how it's not like the old equipment. So, I've got more fun to have. If I really want to, I could dig in and start learning this new digital sound stuff too, and just keep myself interested. But 9 times out of 10, I'm more than busy trying to keep my parts together, to make sure I do my part as a professional in the band. I don't want to let my bandmates down, and it takes a lot of practice. I practice every day to be able to memorize and remember, basically millions of different combinations of dynamics and notes and where do you put your hands. And sometimes you got one hand on a keyboard that's on the top of the rig and the other hand's on the lower keyboard. And sometimes I switch hands. And depending on the song, there's different sounds you have to know how to program in, and then there's a lot of stuff to know. And so I've got it all stored in my head, and I have to rehearse it constantly to be ready for shows. And I love it. And I love the guys I'm with now because they're all equally, or if not more, talented. So when I'm up there listening through my earbuds, I've got in-ear monitors, and I'm listening to what's going on around me, and I can look around and I can see the other guy's playing and I'm just standing there playing my part. I really get into the room. I get into the moment. And sometimes I have to, just to pinch myself to realize I'm really there. I'm really up there, part of this machine, this music machine that's making all this noise, that people are going crazy for. Audiences love the band I'm in now, so it's really easy to get excited about it. One of the songs we do towards the end of the night, they all turn their lights on the phones. Like in the old days, they used to use lighters, and these days everybody turns on the light on their phone. And it's all I see is a sea of lights out in the audience, hundreds and hundreds of people. I love it. And I'm going to keep doing it as long as.
What song do you get accompanied by their lights?
Oh, that song in particular, it happens to be Hotel California, of course. That's an anthem, yeah. But the first time I ever played live with a band was 1978, and so I would have been 14, I think, at that time. And it was at a Greek church, I remember, in a small suburb of Chicago. I don't remember where, but I'm still friends with several of the guys from that original band. We don't play in bands together anymore, but we're still friends. And we have one photo that I still have somewhere of that day. Somebody took a photo of us up on that stage, and at the time I had an old Farfisa organ similar to what Ray Manzarek was using with the Doors, and the other guys had really crappy equipment as well, just old stuff, and we were just kids, and then just look at that picture, and I think that was the beginning of where I am now, that first rock band in high school, 78, yeah, and it's 2026 now. It's
So you're
great to look.
playing now, you're playing covers now of the bands that were concurrent and hot when you started.
Yeah, isn't that something? I would say the biggest bands I've been in for the past 20 years, all of them covered music from the 70s and 80s. Sometimes 60s if you're in a wedding band, they want to hear something from the 60s. But but a lot of the time, yeah, to this day, the last band I was in before this Eagles band was a Hart and Pat Benatar tribute. It was three girls led the vocals in front, and that music is from the late 70s and 80s as well. So it's been, and it's still big, and I think it's because of the kind of the first generation X, I'll call it, post boomer, because I'm based on my birthday, I'm still considered a boomer, but I'm really at the beginning of generation X kind of time frame. And there's a lot of us out there, and people still want to hear that 70s and 80s music. It's popular. Who knows what the next generation is going to want to hear, but I know everybody that I see out in the audiences there, the people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80-year-olds, at some of the places we play, they all want to hear the Eagles, so it's timeless. Yeah. And I always like to say it has broad reach because it's literally a language. It's the universal language. Doesn't matter what country you're from. I can play songs with guys from 5 different countries in one band, and we can speak the music language to each other. Okay, here's the time signature, here's the key signature, here's the starts and stops, here's the speed, go. And we're playing music because that's everybody speaks the same, 12-note scale that we do these days anyway.
If this were to be heard by the world, what would you say?
Well, I would say My motto is important. Carpe Diem, Latin for seize the day. From the movie The Dead Poets Society, I think in the early 90s, the phrase Carpe Diem, I really took to that because of a bunch of friends that I made at a co-op assignment, summer intern type of a job in college. We all got together when that movie came out, and we actually used to get together on Wednesday nights while we were, at this job that we were all working. And we would have Wednesday night, Dead Poet Night, and we would read poetry, and we would talk about Carpe Diem and what it meant, and why we were all there from all these different colleges around the country and working at this company as summer interns. And I would say, because of that motto, it made me even more determined to do something with my life, because as young as I was back then, I recognized my mortality. I knew it from my own family, people passing away before that time frame, and people were passing away on a regular basis all around me. So I just knew that I had to do something with my life, and part of the offshoot of that motto became my Navy career, because I walked into a recruiter's office after college, not before, and I wanted to do something with my life more than just work a day job. And the next thing I know, I was an enlisted man working on electronics. And then 5 years later, they talked me into joining the officer corps, and I became an engineering duty officer, and the rest is history. Carpe diem. All the way. That's why music continued throughout that entire time. I wasn't able to be in bands for a straight 50 years. I can't say that, because there were huge blocks of time where I was in college. I actually went to night school to finish my master's degree while I was working. But once I got done with all that stuff and I got kind of settled down, the band stuff started up again, and it's been going right now pretty strong since about 2016. I don't I don't intend to stop. The only thing that's going to slow me down is health, and I'm trying desperately to hold on to that. As much as you can tell from this conversation that I do have lung issues that I picked up in Afghanistan, and the VA's kind of taking care of me for that. The lung issues are eventually going to creep up. They're getting worse over time. And as long as I can get around and exercise, which I do 3-4 times a week, that means I can carry this really heavy equipment around, and load up the car and unload the car. And as long as I can carry equipment and play music, I'm going to keep going and just keep helping other people like I've been doing as much as I can. Um, Around the community, I've also dove in where I live now in Arizona and become kind of the captain of the neighborhood, and I help people, whatever they need. And that's just kind of who I am. It defines me. And I get it that, from the Carpe Diem, but I also get it from how I was raised by my mom and dad, both Army veterans. They met in the Army. And hard to describe how much love I have for my dad, who passed away in 2019, and my mom, who's still alive. They are the reason that I'm able to be sitting here now, healthy and, fairly successful and still going. I owe it all to the way they raised me.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And thanks for having me again.
Your time is finite. Your energy is valuable. Your talents are unique. Invest them intentionally. Intent on Purpose podcast with host Laura Hansen Brexa. Listen, learn, lead with intention. Your time is finite. Your energy is valuable. Your talents are unique. Invest them intentionally. If a story moved you, if a lesson helped you grow, subscribe, share, like, comment. Help more purpose-driven people know. Your time is finite. Your energy is valuable. Your talents are unique. Invest them intentionally. Intent on purpose with Laura Hansen Brexa. Invest them intentionally.